I'm on 80th getting ready to cross into 81st Street, and John Gotti and I bump into each other, as in Keystone Cops bump.
Right.
Okay? Not like, oh, excuse me, I saw you coming. You know, I say, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. It was nothing. We smacked into each other. He was coming out of a restaurant.
Like you got your peanut butter, or you got your chocolate in my peanut butter, your peanut butter in my chocolate.
That kind of thing, okay? And he came out of the restaurant.
And you recognized him.
Well, he's wearing the $1,000 suit, the slick back, the hair, the way it was. And what would happen was, as he was coming out of the restaurant, he turned this way to tell somebody to lean back and say, and continued walking.
Right.
So he bumped into me, and we bounced off each other, and I turned ready to say, I'm so sorry. I had no idea who it was at that moment.
Right.
And I went, oh, I'm so sorry. And then what does he say to me? He goes,
everybody listen to Darren Carter. Yeah. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, listen to a Pocket Party. Pocket Party. Darren.
How do you like the show so far? Pretty good, right? By the way, here I am acting with John Travolta in the movie Be Cool. Check it out. If you like the show and you want to show your support, every little bit helps. Go to DarrenCarter.com. I'm on PayPal or Venmo at Darren Carter Comic on Venmo. Also, I'm available on Cameo. Oh, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Pocket Party.
bar mitzvah at the Garden Jewish Center on Parsons Boulevard. It wasn't that good of a bar mitzvah.
Yeah. You're like a seal.
Now, by the way, you cool with...
Do me a favor and hold that microphone right there. We're recording right now.
We're recording?
Yes.
Oh, you got it.
Hey, everybody. It's Darren Carter, the party starter. We're back on the Pocket Party podcast. To my left, we have Dr. Dean Larit.
How are you today, Darren?
I'm doing fantastic. You know him from his many television credits. For example, just give us one.
Oh, Days of Our Lives. I did that for 3 years.
Star Search.
That's right.
Star.
Were you on Star Search?
No, I was in the audience.
You're in the audience? Cool. And
No,
we also
I'm
have
kidding.
another regular guest on the Pocket Party podcast. We have Dr. John Diresta.
There you go.
We're all doctors here.
Yeah. I'm the doctor of funny.
Also, he has many TV credits and movie credits.
Lots
and
of credits.
He's got more than you and I combined.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I've been around the block. I've worked
about-
with 6 Oscar winners in scenes making funnies, not as an extra. 6
Nice.
Oscar winners.
Nice.
And my voice appears in 3 Steven Spielberg movies.
Wow.
And I don't like to drop names. Michael Caine told me it was rude.
By the way, Michael Caine, I just realized this because, he's mentioned Michael Caine before, and I realized when I did The Tonight Show, Michael Caine was also on the
he was
panel.
a guest. Did he give you your props?
Yeah, he told me I was one of the world's best actors, and he said, "Why are you doing stand-up? You should be an actor." And
Wow.
yeah, he said, "Have you ever heard of John Diresta?" I said, "Who hasn't?"
Well, watch this. When I did The Tonight Show,
Yeah.
as a panel guest, not as a stand-up, no offense,
That's okay.
Angela Bassett said to me, dreams really do come true. You know, as we were kind of behind the curtain, I said I was a New York City cop
that's
6 weeks
cool.
ago. Angela Bassett and Emmylou Harris was the musical guest.
Oh, I like her song.
Gray hair.
Yeah, 2 more bottles of wine or something like that.
Don't know
I'm
the
living
song.
on the West Side or something.
John, I saw that clip that you put on Instagram the other day of you and Jay.
Right.
At the...
Dueling chins.
Let me ask you something. I couldn't... How did you get on that show? Was it from a credit of a movie?
Not at all.
So
Not at
what's
all.
this-
That's
oh,
a
it
good,
was a series.
It was a sitcom.
Oh.
It was a sitcom. But watch this. This is 24 years ago that
Okay.
happened. And it was human interest. Right now, late night shows switched from human interest to you got to be a star.
Okay.
Tom Cruise is on one night. On this channel, Howard Stern has to go against Tom Cruise.
Okay.
And then Tom Hanks is on. In other words, it's all star driven. But back then, the fact that I was a cop 6 weeks before and quit the job and moved to LA, it was human interest.
Okay.
It was that's interesting. Come on down. Tell us all about it.
And then when I got on both Miss Congeniality and 15 minutes with Robert De Niro. I just waited for the phone call to be on The Tonight Show again.
Okay.
You know, as the co-star?
Correct.
Nothing. Not even thought of.
But the fact that you had a lead in a series and it was named there in your namesake.
And again, I think it was more. Yeah, right. I think it was more the fact that I was a cop. You know, there was the whole story.
Right.
And again, little did I know how lucky I was to get it. I thought it was such an interesting story that you'd automatically be on, but I found out very soon that, someone that's virtually unknown. Remember when we grew up, Johnny Carson would have people like, the King Strawberry Pie Maker, and we would we'd get a kick out of it.
Right.
That's out the window.
Right.
I got a question. Right. Okay, so he got a job in the New York City subway system.
Correct.
And
Transit.
this is what's hilarious. He never even been in the subway until he got the job. Had you growing up in Queens?
Spent most of my life on the subway on the 7 train because the 7 train.
Willets Point.
The 7 train.
Was that the last stop?
No, the
Shea
last stop
Stadium
is
is the last stop?
No, it goes into Main Street, Flushing.
Oh, okay.
Goes to Main Street, Flushing, which is, I can only imagine what that neighborhood's like now. But yes, I spent a lot of time on the 7 train because what we did, we took the Q17A bus that was near Francis Lewis High School,
right?
And you pick that up on Horace Harding Expressway, blah blah blah, and then you take that down to Main Street, and then from Main Street you grab you go over the Roosevelt Avenue Bridge,
right,
into Shea Stadium.
Right. And what was the stop at Shea? Was it Willets Point? No.
Shea was Shea Stadium. I think you're right. I think that was Willets Point.
Well,
I think that's Willets Point.
Watch this.
Go ahead.
Out of the 479 subway stops there are, that little stretch was the least that I ever dealt with. So I know Coney Island.
Yeah.
I know Midtown Manhattan.
That's Stillwell.
I know, right. That was my Stillwell Avenue was my steady post for years, 3401.
That's a rough area.
Oh, the first night I worked in Stillwell Avenue, you could Google it up right now while we're on the phone. A hooker was killed with a crossbow. My first night on the job.
Wow.
And you had to cover the
No, I didn't.
investigation?
It just happened that night.
Okay.
But I was
that was a
working the
rough
night
area.
Tupac got shot.
But Tupac is Vegas.
No. Tupac was shot in New York City before he was killed.
Oh, one of his shootings. Yeah, he's been
was
shot like 6-7 times in his life.
No, he was shot 5 times that night.
Okay. Right.
And one bullet went through his scrotum, and he lost a testicle.
Did he really?
And that was the night Tupac became one Pac. Pound it.
Sorry, I got a phone in my head looking up that fact that you told us.
We'll be right back.
Did it come up?
That is wild. It says New York City.
Hold on, listen.
That is. Go ahead.
New York City used to be a wild, terrifying place. The number of murders in New York City dropped to a record low for 2014. Oh, this is an old article, by the way. This is from 2015. It says the New York City of the 1970s, however, looked very different from the safe and gentrified metropolis we know today, which is funny because it's kind of this is an article that was written 7 years ago. They wrote this.
Swung back.
Yeah,
that's become one of the roughest places to go now.
If you look up Coney Island prostitute Crossbow,
while he's looking
it's September of '88.
While he's looking that up, let me ask you something. As a transit officer,
right?
Okay, you come out of the academy. How do you draw that straw? Number one,
that's the way to go. Oh, how do you get transit?
Yeah.
Well, when I took the exam. Everyone took the NYPD exam, and then it was just by chance. It was your list number, not your score.
Okay.
It was your list number.
All right.
So if 5,000 people passed the medical, the psych, and the physical,
right.
You just got a random number, and any 100 to 150, whoever passed went to transit.
Okay.
And I went to transit, and you went to the New York City Police Academy, but you were transit before you went in, so you were like a star-bellied sneech. You were like a reject. From day one, you were a reject.
Okay.
Then when we all graduated at Madison Square Garden in the Guinness Book of Records, largest police class in the history of the human race, 2,900 of us, 308
go right to transit.
Go to Transit Academy. So now you went from the NYPD Academy to an old sweater factory in Brooklyn, and you spent 6 weeks learning about the subway and guardian angels.
All right, this article says, woman killed by crossbow. And this article was written in October 23rd, 1987.
Wow.
Yeah.
A woman believed to be a prostitute was killed Friday when a man shot her point blank with a crossbow and a razor-tipped arrow normally used for hunting bear. police said. 2 officers on patrol saw the woman stagger back from the man's car, then after a chase captured a suspect. A 21-year-old man described by his father as a straight-A college student.
Was he a comedian?
Doesn't say yet.
It was Steve Martin with the arrow.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking Ted Nugent.
Oh, gosh.
Because he's a bow hunter.
It says Richard
So
Paradis was charged with second-degree murder and criminal blah, 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 blah.
So he's probably still in jail.
Wow. That's
the guy? Oh.
No.
So John, so let me ask, because I think you and I were talking about this the other night about what goes on the day of a transit cop. Did you have to go, is every day, like, could you be in Brownsville one day and then the next day in
Well,
Forest?
that's a good question.
Oh, thank you.
So when you work in, no, it is. Let's just say you worked in Coney Island, right? I get assigned
area.
to Coney Island. We covered 50 stations, all
Okay.
in Bay Ridge, Sheepshead Bay, all that lower half of Brooklyn.
Know it well. Go ahead.
Sunset Park, Bay Ridge, Bath Beach, all these like mobster areas.
How about Red Hook? Did you go to Red Hook?
Well, watch this. When you're a rookie, you have to ride the train. So when you get a few years on, you'll get like 3 stations.
Okay.
So you go to Sheepshead Bay, West 8th, and Coney Island all
Okay.
day alone. But you go to each station for an hour. You just kind of bounce
Just hang
back and
around.
forth.
Right.
But when you're a rookie, you get on a train at Coney Island, go to Yankee Stadium, have
Bronx.
your dinner, and then go back. And that's it. It's 4 hours one way and 4 hours the other.
That takes 4 hours
Well,
from Brooklyn to the Bronx?
because you have dinner.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like it takes an hour and a half. You have dinner, you hour and a half back. But that's train is your post. So now you're going through South Bronx. You're from the 5 towns of Long Island, and you don't even know what the next stop is.
Right.
God forbid you get in a tussle. You're alone.
Yeah, that was a bad area back then.
Oh, just all of the subway was bad.
161st and River.
They're all bad.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys both a question.
ahead.
So online, like when I'm looking at TikTok or I'm looking at Instagram, sometimes they'll show like these fights on the subway or chaos. Someone brings on a chicken or these guys like start doing pull-ups and then they get mad. And were there that kind of behavior back when you guys were growing up back there or when you were working there?
Well, again, I avoided it with all my might because you work alone.
Right.
You
don't have a partner.
no
at all?
partner in the subway of New
What?
York. 21 years old from Long Island. The roughest thing I ever did was go to bar mitzvahs. And now I'm on
Leonard's.
the subway of New York. You don't even know what the next station is. I avoided it at all costs, but there was stuff like that. Sure, it happened, yeah.
So, and then what about you? Did you ever see that kind of stuff?
The only thing I tend to see or saw back then, I don't know if that's the attended, was people coming into the train. Folks, I'm not here for any trouble.
Yeah, begging money.
I want to sing a song for you on the harmonica.
Oh, that's kind of cool, actually.
I got a lot of that. I never really saw a major crime in the subway.
Right.
I never saw a little turnstile jumper. I think I even did that a few times at Roosevelt Avenue.
Baba Booey got arrested for
Did he
jumping
really?
the turnstile. Yeah, Baba Booey.
Yeah.
And you know who else was a graffiti artist in the subway? It was a big thing if you locked him up. Robert De Niro's son, Raphael.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Was a graffiti artist.
Wow,
in
I
the
didn't know
subway.
that. Yeah,
So
but
there was a guy talking to you once, and a few weeks ago, and he goes, and his point, he thought that there was more crime now because he goes, when I was in New York, it was so packed, you really
It's
didn't have
crazy now.
You didn't have room to move around. He said that there's
Oh
more
yeah,
room.
yeah.
and-
That was a weird theory.
Yeah.
No, it was a lot of crime then, and there's a lot of crime now, and even when you read that article in 2014, I'm sure there was crime.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's psychos everywhere. Every
would
single
say-
day, a bum kills off an innocent person.
Yeah.
In New York every day.
I told you this the other day about the guy who smeared the feces.
Yeah.
And got out on bail and then attacked somebody in the subway 3 hours after.
It's we could go down the rabbit
Yeah.
hole of
This has got to stop.
it's
though.
got but.
Well, you got a DA in Manhattan.
I know in both in all the big cities. I know it's like, I mean, look at this poor woman was killed in Beverly Hills. Her husband was a big musician, music producer,
yeah, yeah,
and killed in her own kitchen.
yeah,
I live in North Hollywood.
yeah.
I know how she feels. Actually, I don't know if you guys saw the news tonight. CNN, it was breaking news. They offered people from Ukraine a free trip to live in North Hollywood.
Turned it down.
Turned it down. I'd rather live in Ukraine. I fight for my country. I don't want North Hollywood.
So you guys are both from New York.
And there's
you,
no parking.
Yeah, and no, yeah.
Yeah.
You
ahead.
both are from New York, and you both ended up in North Hollywood.
Right.
Yeah. But the way we know each other is because my old roommate was your quarterback
On my football team.
in football.
And I was the center.
He was the center.
So he palmed the back of my taint more times than
Right.
my wife.
Correct.
Or your wife.
Hey-o.
Hi-oh.
Wow, you recognize those hands?
And that's how we got to know each other,
And he
actually.
watch this. You know, I call him Rich Cone. I know you
Yeah.
call him Rick,
Rick.
which to me is weird.
Right.
He's the only other man I have ever in my life wrestled with no shirt on for real. We were at football camp. We were drunk, and he wised off to me, and I wised off to him. And I mean, I don't go anywhere without a shirt in the last 35 years.
Yeah.
No less wrestle another man
Yeah.
to the point where it was serious. Like, you know.
Oh, really?
And yeah. And we were on a wrestling team. We were on a football team at summer camp, drunk. Somebody went out and got like 10 gallons of vodka. And we got drunk. And to this day, Rich it's the closest I've ever come to, a
Potential
homosexual
film,
act.
stag film, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Other than with you.
Nice party starter.
Yeah.
But yeah, we grew up about 15, 20 minutes apart. I guess that's about correct.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Watch this. Cross Island past Belmont Flea Market. And what exit were you?
I was on the Long Island Expressway, Utopia Parkway.
Oh, okay. What about if I took you to Cross Island?
If you took the Cross
Or do you
Island,
get
you
onto the
still
LIE?
got to get on the LIE
Okay.
by Corvettes.
That I don't
Do you
know.
know? You don't remember Corvettes?
What year did you?
I remember Corvettes, not your Corvettes.
What year did you move to California?
I moved here in 98, 24 years ago.
1998, and I moved here in 95. And what year did
December
you move here?
7th, 89.
Wow.
December 7th.
Watch this. I'm June 30th. And how I know that, we lived in Seaford, Long Island, and my 3 kids got in a limo, and I snapped a photo. And the camera put June
Printed
30th, 1998. And to this day, my wife and I argue about that date, but we've never found that photo.
Oh, okay.
It's floating around, and I know it says June 30th, 1998.
Yeah, and by the way, do you know what Corvettes was? Was it
I went to the Corvettes at Green Acres.
Oh, you did Green Acres.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
Douglaston.
Yeah, no, we knew nothing
Okay.
about Douglas.
Do you know what it stood for? EJ Corvettes?
No.
8. I'm not kidding. This is for real. 8 Jewish Korean vets that went in together.
Wow.
I never knew this. EJ Corvettes was 8 Jewish Korean vets. They all met in Korea in the army or whatever army, and they opened up a department
Do you remember
store.
2 guys?
Yeah, of course.
Long Island was the 2 guys. So there was a department store called
Yep.
2 Guys.
Oh.
And what was the oldest joke on earth? Did you know the joke?
No, what is it?
I heard your parents own a store. It's called 2 Guys.
okay.
It was the oldest
Okay,
joke in Long
okay.
Island.
That's funny. I know 5 guys, but yeah.
No, 2 Guys.
So, John, let me ask you: when did you get into stand-up? How did stand-up start? Out here or in Long Island? That's right.
No,
you
no,
were
no.
funny
When
as
I was a
cop in-
cop. Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
right.
No,
That's
I tried it twice. I tried it. I did the Wonderland Blues Bar.
Where's that, in New York?
That was
or
in
Long-
New York City,
Okay,
like a jazz club.
yeah.
But before that, I did the White Horse Tavern, which has been open like 100 years.
In New York,
And I
that's-
told a
yeah.
street joke. And I was I got the joke out and it got a laugh. And I won't tell it now. It's a bit of a dirty joke. But I told one joke.
Do you want to tell it now?
It involves a Girl Scout.
Okay.
You know, so let's
it
move
doesn't-
on.
It doesn't stand up. Yeah.
Yeah,
3
it's-
decades
it's
later,
nasty.
it's like, yeah.
Oh, it's nasty. It's
Yeah, it's a
vulgar,
nasty.
vulgar?
Yeah,
It's bad?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
yeah.
All right.
So,
Can I, wait, as you're saying that, I do have a good street joke I want to tell at some
Go ahead.
point. Well, I'll do one street joke if you want.
Okay. So I knew I wanted to be a comedian my whole life, and I didn't know you can go to I didn't know that you can go to a class. I didn't know. So I did one open mic, did a joke, and got a kind of a laugh, but the nervousness, it wasn't worth it. Then my brother talks me into doing the Wonderland Blues Bar, and instead of stand-up, we do a sketch. We have no experience at all with acting, and I dress as Joe Franklin with rosy cheeks and a wig.
I got
and
a great story
and a
for you.
suit.
Go ahead.
He was an old-time, like a talk show host. Yeah. And my brother dresses as James Brown's dog.
Okay.
So he has a muzzle.
Okay.
He's got a tuxedo. He has hair. And I interviewed, Joe Franklin interviews, and my heart was pounding so bad. it felt like there was someone inside my body with a sledgehammer trying to bust through my chest, and it wasn't worth it. And you know who I worked with that night? I wonder if you know him, Sarge.
Yeah.
I know Sarge. I
became
toured
a
with
very
Sarge.
big act
In Florida.
Yeah.
And my parents were seeing him all the time at the New York Comedy Club where I played. Did you ever play New York, Florida? You never did the Florida.
Not the Florida one,
Okay.
but I toured with Sarge. He was my
But
tour
you know
manager
Sarge
in
for
the early
years.
'90s.
And he's a big guy. He's a big shot.
He's a
on
light-skinned
the
black guy with
cruises.
red hair, freckles.
With the cruise, and he's half Jewish and half something.
Great neck.
Yeah.
That's right. He's great neck. Great neck. Long. That's correct.
Adopted.
That's correct. Now it's all coming back to me now because my mother told me his whole background. But
But at the
go ahead.
Wonderlast Blues Bar, he was nice enough to try and coach me down. He was
Okay.
like, dude, you're going to have a heart attack.
you were that bad?
Yeah, I was that bad. And after that night, I said,
And that was mid '90s.
that was probably 89, 88, 89.
wow.
for me.
Okay.
And so, and then I got done with it. Then I got married. We had two kids right in a row. And I know I wanted to be a comedian. And watch this, I worked in the homeless outreach unit. So all we did was pick up homeless people every night. And we wind up, as I threw each a sandwich,
Right.
we did crowd work.
Okay.
This one, oh, he's back with the no teeth. This guy's a drug addict. This guy's a heroin addict. And we had ongoing jokes and catchphrases and, because we saw the same people every night.
Right.
We picked up the same 50 bums. It was job security.
Right.
The more bums we picked up, the less they were going to disband us, and we have to go back in a uniform.
Right.
This is plain clothes, hanging out. Oh, this is hanging out.
Oh, so you did plain clothes as well?
But just to pick up homeless people.
Oh, okay, only
I'm
for
saying
that.
our job was to pick up. We became social workers.
But you couldn't be plain clothes in the transit, right? You had to. You couldn't go undercover.
You had to be a crime fighter. I didn't
Okay.
fight crime. I didn't have. I didn't get involved in that.
Okay.
I know what you're saying.
All right.
So one night, I'm 27 years old. Right now, I'm 27 years old. I'm not 19.
Okay.
And my partner, Mike Venkis from Howard Beach, says, "Look at this. This is just like in a movie." He goes, he's reading the Village Voice, and the only cop in New York that would read the Village Voice. And he goes, "Look at this." I go, "What?" He goes, "It's a comedy class." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You could take an 8-week course, learn how to be a stand-up, and they'll kind of give you all a little." He said, "Not only should you take it, I'll pay for it."
That's
And I called it. Watch this. When I called the comedy class the next day, the relief that came over me when I said, "I want to join. Hey, want to take up money?" And when I hung up, it felt like I had told my parents
I want to become a
that I was
ventriloquist.
that I was a.
That's an old.
No, it felt like
that's an old George Costanza line.
No, but it felt like I told my parents I was a homosexual.
Right.
Like I was in the closet type of deal. Like, and I took the class. And I graduated, and that was, watch this, and I could prove it. That was
He's got a notebook.
6,388 sets ago.
Wow.
So I counted that as set number one. I made $4. I took the class in 92.
At least you got paid.
And I hit the ground running. I was told do to 3 to 5 sets a week.
Right.
Like in other words, and then all of a sudden New York's Funniest Cop came up. So that gave me the hey,
impetus. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden it was like, wow, I had a goal. And all the other cops were the funny guys in the precinct.
Right.
And I was doing 3 to 5 sets a
Right.
week with a tape recorder. And I
Oh,
won.
you have a major advantage at that time. Let me ask you something. Who taught the class? Do you remember?
Lee Frank, of course I remember. Do you remember Lee Frank?
Was that of the Todd Frank?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
All I know is Lee Frank, his opening joke was about River Phoenix. And when River Phoenix passed away, he couldn't use his opening joke anymore. And you know who was in my class? You know the girl that played It's Pat on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Julia Sweeney?
Yeah.
Her brother, Mike Sweeney.
Oh,
and he died of cancer.
Yeah, he was a comic in Manhattan, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Well, no, there was 2 Mike Sweeneys.
There is
you
another
know the
one.
other
Oh,
Mike
okay,
Sweeney.
all right, okay,
He
'cause
became Conan's head writer.
okay, because I remember the other one.
Yeah,
okay.
no, you know
Yes.
he became Conan's head writer for 20 years.
Okay.
He made a lot of money.
Do you remember anything in that class that you still remember
Of
today?
course. Dude, I have a memory like a...
Give us something that...
The number one
Yeah.
thing that I have the notebook. Look, this is 164 notebooks later.
That's volume 164.
Yeah. In the original notebook, if you open it up, the first line says no two audiences are ever alike. That's the first note I ever took.
In class.
In class.
Okay.
That no two audiences ever alike. And it took me a lot of times to learn that. You know, I would kill in Milwaukee at 8, and all of a sudden I had a rough time at 10, and I'm like, but I'm in Milwaukee, and I'm doing pack of jokes, and I'm doing jokes about, who was the quarterback? He was in something
Brett
about
Favre.
Mary.
Brett
Yeah,
Favre,
I'm doing Brett Favre's a bad actor. You know,
Right,
in other
right,
words, there's been times where I killed at 8, I got to kill at 10.
Right.
I'm in the same town. You understand what I mean? And then I go back to that very first notebook, and it says no two audiences are ever alike. And then I remember from the graduating class, I was telling them about my life, you know, whatever the 5 minutes you have, and I was like, well, transit cop, you ride, we hide. I hate being a cop. All I want to do is smoke pot. I'd never been in the subway. I'm from the 5 towns. I'm an honorary Jewish person, blah, blah, blah. And then I told a street joke at the end, how I picked up a girl at a party, and I don't know how much we could tell. It's dirty. It's dirty. I could tell you. I can give you the punchline.
Do it.
She said...
Try to tell this dirty joke in a clean way if you can. And if you can't,
Oh,
that's
sure.
okay.
Yeah. So... in the set, I'm a transit cop, I'm married,
Yeah.
you know, all real, and funny. And then somehow I go, and okay, before I go, I have a quick funny story. I was at a party a few weeks ago, and I picked up this girl, and we both got really drunk, and we went back to her place, and one thing led to another, and I'm down there with my tongue, and I said, it's a bit dry. And she said, move up. You're licking my carpet. So when I came off, he was my coach was pissed.
That
He
you
said,
said that-
dude, they knew you were married. They knew you didn't pick up a girl in a bar.
Yeah.
Like he said, why did you he used the term, why did you crowbar a street joke into what was a good set? You know what I mean? So that, I learned that lesson that night.
And that's from Lee Frank telling you
Lee
this?
Frank.
Okay.
A good guy.
I was actually, and I'm not, I think I'm
You took a class?
relatively humble guy.
You took a class?
No, I've never taken a class. But, and I'm not name dropping, but Jerry Seinfeld was the guy who told me exactly what you just said, how I asked him for advice one day. He was opening for Cher at the Mirage Hotel, and I happened to be there that weekend, just sitting at the pool. I didn't even know the guy was on the all you see is the huge marquee of her, okay? And all of a sudden I hear, Dean Larit. It's George Wallace, okay? And that's his best friend on the planet. And I knew George from the New York days. And come over here. And he's sitting with George Shapiro, Jerry, Julia Elaine-Dreyfus, Jason Alexander, and George Shapiro's wife. And George Shapiro, for those of you who don't know, is Jerry's manager for the last 40 years, 43 years or something. And so I said something like, Jerry was over here and George was there, and I was like, all right, I've asked advice for many times over a slice of pizza. I said, can I ask you a question? Blah, and I went to him.
Right.
And I said, I'm just starting out like a year and a half ago, blah, blah, blah. And he said to me almost exactly what you just said. He said, don't ever think it's in your hip pocket, that killer joke that you think is killer. And it's funny because he said Cleveland, you said Milwaukee.
Oh, wow.
And I'll never forget Cleveland because I know he played there a lot at like Hilarities and
Pickwick and Frolics. I
whatever
played there
it was, because
downstairs.
I know he played Cleveland a lot, and he said to me, I can do a joke at the 8 o'clock show in Cleveland, and an applause break, 10 o'clock. They're sleeping when I say that joke. And he said, so don't ever think it's in the hip.
Right.
Okay.
I never heard it that way, but...
Yeah, he made it like in the pocket. He said, don't ever think you got something that cannot go like this to the punchline. And so when you said that, it just gave me a flashback. I was like, where did I hear something? Oh, Jerry Seinfeld told me. So, okay, so now let me ask you a question. So now you start getting a little, you're getting your legs underneath you on a stage.
I started to make 50 here, 20 here, 50 there. And with 3 infants, you need the money.
So let me ask you, did you ever find yourself playing Jericho Turnpike, Chuckles?
Chuckles, of course.
Oh, you did Chuckles?
Yeah, I did Chuckles.
Okay, so you did
yeah,
Chuckles.
I did Chuckles. Right. I did Governors.
Right.
I did Chuckles before it closed. Me and Mulrooney did it.
Brokerage? Mulrooney, yeah.
Brokerage, I never did a set at. The guy didn't like me. Gary Smith.
Okay.
I never got along with him, and I just never tried.
Okay.
And then I had a funny story. My uncle Dickie lived in Florida, and he was a fireman in Hialeah, and he drank a case of Old Milwaukee every day of his life for 50 years. And he stayed on the fire department in the 80s, 5 years past his pension. Guess why? Because when you go in a fire, you're looking to steal mounds of cocaine. We waited 5 years to find the mother lode, for real.
Wow.
This is the type of guy he is. He was a good guy. But I was at Chuckles doing a stand-up gig, and I walk out the front door, and right at the front door is my Uncle Dickie. It winds up, while we were in the comedy club, some makeshift parade started, and he was in from Florida, staying at relatives that lived in Mineola. It was just a funny thing to open the door, and my uncle I only saw in Miami my whole life was standing at the front door at Chuckles.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I started, what motivated me was the money.
So then did you start with the Scarpati gigs and the Gary Grant gigs in Martin, Jersey?
Like up and down Wayne, New Jersey, Ho-Hocus, Pips. Pips was my big stop.
Seth and
Marty.
Seth and Marty.
Pips was my big stop. Watch this. I don't have a home club in L.A. I've only been out here 24 years.
Okay.
But if I had to have a home club, it was Pips. Like, in other words, I can call Pips a home club. And guess how far away I lived?
That's that's 25 minutes, half hour.
I had moved to Monroe.
New York, Monroe.
Upstate.
That's 70 miles from Manhattan.
90 miles from Pips.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was my home club. That's how dedicated I was. And watch this. Seth and Marty were going to move out of above Pips, and I was going to move my wife and 3 kids from upstate New York with the parks into upstairs of Pips. That's how dedicated I was. And it didn't work out.
See, we say dedicated. The wives might say selfish, right?
I said to her, I said, if this apartment opens up, we'll move into Brooklyn. Yeah. And I would have been,
Now that, if I remember correctly, it's like a block off the beach, right?
It was in Sheepshead Bay. Right. So when you open the front door, it was all the boats.
It was the boat, yeah.
And when we were little kids, watch this. Woodmere, Long Island, quote unquote, is only 12 miles from, you just passed Howard Beach.
On the Bell Park.
Yeah, on the Bell Parkway. So when we were kids, my dad from Long Island would drive at about 2 or 3 on a Saturday afternoon. If you remember, all the fishing boats came in and people sold raw fish all along Sheepshead Bay.
Yes.
It was like a flea market, but with flounders and bluefish and sharks.
Yep.
Do you like those kind of fish? Like different
Not at
fish?
all.
All I like is salmon.
Me too.
From a restaurant. This is out of the back of a truck, and it's still flopping.
I remembered it smelled in that.
Yeah,
it stunk outside of Pips because I used to go to Pips.
It would be low tide.
Yeah.
Guess what? Ventura Harbor at low tide.
Yeah.
You ever been to Ventura?
Yeah,
We've all been to Ventura.
So did you work with like friends of mine, Kent Casper at Pips and
he rings a bell. Keep going.
the tall assistant district attorney guy. But I know Sandler started out there.
No, he was before my time. Andres Fernandez, Jay London. Andres, Jay London.
Andres owns the Ventura Club, right?
Carrie Carabas.
Okay.
Jody Weena. Joey Cola, I became friends with. Mulrooney and I became... Mulrooney and I are best friends to this day. When my wife said... We lived in Harriman. I was doing stand-up about a year.
Harriman, New York, yeah.
And the phone rings in the kitchen, and my wife goes, hold on. My wife goes, there's a guy named John Mulrooney on the phone? And it might as well have been, to me, Johnny Carson. It might as well have been God. It might as well have been W.C. Fields calling. That's how much I respected Mulrooney.
John was a great comic, man.
I know.
He was a great crowd worker. And he's still, and he was a cop also.
Now he's a cop.
That's right. He's a cop.
He did the opposite then. Like you were a cop.
He became a cop at the age of 50.
Yeah.
Wow.
And let me ask you something.
I quit at 33.
Wow.
Is he in Vegas or
Not at all. No, he's upstate New York.
He's upstate? Where about?
Oh, he's way upstate.
Because John...
Right by Kingston.
Coxsackie. Okay. I know that area pretty well, actually.
I went to New Paltz.
We had this conversation the other night. We were watching UFC, the 3 of us, and but we spoke about that. We'll get to the college thing in a second, New Paltz and Brockport.
Right.
But The thing I was going to ask you, Mulrooney used to do something I used to get a kick out of. When I was managing the showroom in Melrose Improv, 1990 through 93, John was a big act there.
Right.
Okay, he was getting, I would say, he could get 2 to 3 spots a week, which was, that was a lot.
Right.
To get 2 to 3 spots a week when you're competing with Jerry, Jay, George Wallace, Mario Joyner, Charles Fleischer, Irera, Reiser. I mean, it's great. And he would come in, but he always called ahead to see if the talent was good in the crowd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he always wanted
he's a player.
He always wanted to know. The front door bouncer guy would always pick up the phone and go, Mulrooney wants to know what the audience looks like. I go,
oh, wow. I never knew that.
Yeah,
See, I never thought of that.
I guarantee you he'll cop to it if you ask him on the phone.
Yeah, I'll ask him.
Yeah, but he was a great...
And you know how I met him?
Go ahead.
This is a good comedy story. His brother Mike was the bus driver for the homeless outreach bus. So we drove a van, right? But if it got below 32 degrees and we were going to pick up more clients because more bums wanted to go to the shelter,
we needed a bus.
We needed a bus. But we needed a bus driver that carried a gun. And they looked through the computer and they found a guy named Mike Mulrooney. And he would get called from his regular patrol job. Instead of going on patrol in a uniform, they'd say, you want to go drive a bus and hang out with these schmucks and have laughs. So set 50, I won New York's Funniest Cop.
Okay.
Set 72, I did a bringer at Caroline's and killed. To this day, it's the best set I ever had because it got me my one-man show, which turned into a sitcom. On set 72, I killed. I got a bunch of VHSs made, and I always carried them with them. When I found out the bus driver was Mike Mulrooney, I said, can you give this to your brother? He said, I'll give it to him. This is the story. If you ever meet Mulrooney, he loves telling this story. He goes, I'm going on a hunting trip with the Magnuson brothers, the 5 guys that own the Rascals chain.
Oh, okay.
I'm going with 2 other comedians, myself, and the 5 brothers. 100,000 years of stand-up comedy experience. Right. And we bring this a-hole's tape to mock him. We get drunk, we get high, we look forward to putting this tape in and
laughing
mocking
on it.
him.
Right.
Mocking him.
Right.
He goes, this is when he called me. He goes, dude, we put that tape in, and from the first joke to the last, you had us doubled over howling. And he said, the second you did the callback at the end, someone yelled, rewind it. And play it again.
Wow.
And it's a very heartwarming story.
That's great.
Because they were looking forward to mocking me.
And did that get you in their chains of
that just got me like recognized, like, okay, this guy's the real deal.
Legit.
He's not telling dumb jokes.
Right.
You know the U-turn cop? Do you know that cop?
No.
This guy calls himself the world's funniest cop. And his big story is he pulled over a woman because the sign said no U-turn, and she made a U-turn.
Oh, yeah.
No, U-turn.
Yeah, and she said, no, the sign said, no, U-turn.
Yeah. Old joke.
Is it an old joke? I didn't even know. Yeah, see?
Absolutely.
I remember hearing that in the day. I got a question. Tell our audience about, you were telling us a story the other night about, I don't want to give away the punchline, but you went on a date with a woman early back in the day.
When I was a very rookie cop before I met my wife and got married, I went on a date with, I'll just say her first name is Diane, and we were only out of the academy maybe 6 or 8 weeks. And I thought, since I'm an off-duty New York City cop, I have to carry my little Jimmy or a snub nose. It's a 32 snub nose. You would see it on Beretta. Mm-hmm. It's a revolver. Yeah. And it has 5 shots instead of 6, and it's got it's a snub nose. And you stuff it right here under your foop. Under your fupa, in what's called a pancake holster. And it's not snapped in. It's just tucked into like a leather pouch.
Right.
And I was on a date in your old neighborhood, Cunningham Park.
Know it well.
And I don't know the name of the bar. It might have been the Rusty Nail. And I got boxed, which is a term in the NYPD for getting packaged. You get boxed or packaged or both. And I was boxed.
3 sheets to the wind.
I was legless, feeling no pain. And I had to urinate. And I went to the men's room, but the urinals were full. It was a crowded bar, so I went to the toilet. Unzip my pants, go to take out my root, and my gun falls out of.
Dude.
Hold on. It falls into the toilet and goes down into the tube and disappears. So now I'm drunk. And I have to reach down into a public toilet and fish out my gun.
Yeah, that's that's just,
And that's, I mean, imagine like just your sunglasses or anything else falls into it. It's disgusting. But imagine it's a gun, and then you don't. And then part of you is thinking, what if this thing goes off?
Guns are extremely dangerous.
Can it go off in an?
I think they can go off anytime.
Really?
They're made for one reason.
Yeah.
And that's to kill people.
To do damage.
It's the only reason it's made.
Question. I was thinking of this about 4 minutes ago. What did you win for Funniest Cop?
That's a good question. For New York's Funniest Cop, I thought it would mean way more. Okay. That's how much I respected stand-up. You know what I mean?
Right.
I thought it would be a much bigger deal. I thought at least I'd get in the newspaper, which I don't think I did. But I won $50 free meal at the local restaurant. Oh, it's at Stand Up New York.
Oh, okay.
78th and Broadway.
Yeah.
So I won dinner for two at like a little restaurant right next door. And I was supposed to get a Stand Up New York T-shirt, and I never got the T-shirt.
Unbelievable. Let me ask you, where did you do Did you do it at Stand Up New York?
Stand Up New York.
That tiny little stage.
Yep.
How many? So this is Funniest Cop. How many cops were in that?
There was enough that they had 2 or 3 runoffs.
Oh, they had to do it. Okay. All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
Absolutely. Yeah. You need some water or?
Okay. So when I got in January and made it to the next
level. Tier.
Like, that was going to be February 28th.
Okay.
So I had 6 weeks. It wasn't the next night. I had 6 weeks to run around and to work on the act.
Okay.
And it wind up, it came down to between me and Joe Badalamenti. He was Central Park.
Okay.
I was Transit. So about 15 or 20 guys showed up.
Oh, okay.
We're best friends now. We're still friends.
Okay.
But the final night, it came down to Joe Badalamenti and John Diresta, and a few things happened. I had a very good set.
How much did you have to do?
It was like 5 minutes.
Okay.
You got a good 5 minutes.
Each time you went up, it was always 5.
Yeah, it was 5.
Okay.
So watch this. I had a really good set. I step off the stage, and the manager says to me, "You went past the light. I might have to disqualify you." This is while the contest is going. I just had a really good set. Even somebody heckled me, and I went, "Hey, where you from?" And the second he said where he was from, I went, "Who cares?" And it was just a funny improv that, like, I put this guy down.
Right.
And watch this. If you go back and watch the tape, I did a joke about a Coney Island hooker having 1 tooth. And then I said, if she had no teeth, wouldn't be so bad. And as they laughed, I let the laugh roll. I went like this with my face. Just to give them time, like letting them, that's the toss, letting them know. And just as I went like this, red light goes like this, goes off.
But you don't see it.
So I never see it.
Okay.
So I step off stage, and the guy goes, "I'm going to have to disqualify you. You went over your time. You did 6 instead of 5."
Oh, you did a full minute?
You did a full minute.
Wow.
So then it comes down to, and he doesn't disqualify me, and Badalamenti gets up, and he goes blank.
Oh,
He's in the middle of doing his set, and he goes...
I forgot.
Like, it's a good 13, 14, 15 seconds where I go, now I won. So they go to do the tally, and who does the set? While they count the score, Louis C.K. does the set.
Okay, and so
I go to myself. No, he's 5 years in.
Okay.
And I'm like, how can any human being be so funny?
Yeah.
Boom, boom. That's mine. Don't piss on it. Boom. Bad thing. Mike Royce comes out, who's now a rich TV producer. He produced Everyone Loves Raymond and Men of a Certain Age. He created that show. He comes out and he says, the winner. There's a lot of tension because Badalamenti did get laughs, but he did go blank.
Right.
And I went over. Maybe that counts. Right. Mike Royce holds up a piece of paper and he goes, the winner of New York's Funniest Cop, first time ever. Now, it's not the 50th time. First time ever. Joe Diresta.
What?
And my mind goes, why is my dad, New York's funniest cop, sitting in the front row? Why is he the winner?
Yeah.
And he literally turns the paper over like a movie.
I meant.
And goes, from Transit. And as soon as he said that, he goes, John Diresta. It was very exciting. And then watch this. Instead of going back to Monroe, where my wife and kids were to celebrate the victory, somehow, some way, I went back to Woodmere to stay in Woodmere for the night.
Okay.
At my mom's house.
Okay.
So me, my dad, and my brother, Jimmy, who's now on Netflix, stopped at a White Castle on Queens Boulevard.
Oh,
and that's
I know
all
that
on video.
one well, man. Right by the mall.
It's all on video.
Right by the mall.
Yeah.
You ever done video that someone had a video camera?
Well, I remember because a bum was laying down in the booth at White Castle.
Yeah.
And he was in a weird, funny position, and I just laid in the other cross seat in the same position, and it was very funny.
Wow.
That
Who filmed it? You guys have the camera?
Jimmy had some kind of,
Yeah.
Get
Get some of that stuff on YouTube. When you get your YouTube channel,
so
put
that
that
was
on there.
set 50.
Yeah.
And then set 72 was the killer
Caroline's.
Do they still do New York's Funniest Cop? Is it
set.
still?
Well, watch this. They did it the next year, and they wouldn't even let me join.
Wow.
They made me, watch this, they made me a judge. So I said, okay, I'll be a judge, right? I'm moving on. I'm now doing more sets. And so I'll be the judge. And the guy that puts together is named Billy Ryan. And Billy Ryan is a detective or a cop, and he really wants to be in New York City. He really wants to win this. So he kind of organizes it. And he gets, but it's one night only. There's now no runoff. It's just 3 guys. And now it's open to Long Island.
Okay.
New York's funny. It's the whole state. Everyone
and the same 5 minutes?
Same 5 minutes. Or whatever. 10 guys join. Whatever it is. But it's not a runoff. It's one night.
Okay.
So a guy named Joe Mike brings a bus. 60 drunken cops drinking since noon out of a keg.
To laugh.
On a bus. They're bombed at 8 o'clock that night. So Billy Ryan comes out. Again, I'm just a judge. Billy Ryan comes out and has an okay set. He comes out and he's mixing his drink. And he leans in and goes, hey, do you start right away when you get to work?
Oh,
and I'm like,
that old joke? I've seen
That's
that.
Stanley Ullman.
And watch this. And even I go, I've seen that 35 times on Evening at the Improv.
Right.
Yeah.
He has an okay set. Joe Mike comes up. He's got 65 drunken New York City Nassau County, Long Island cops. They're bombed. He comes out and says, hey, everybody, my name's Joe Mike. I'm a detective in Suffolk County, Long Island. And he has a little tape recorder and it hits it and it goes, dan, 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 dan. It's funny. The audience goes nuts.
Yeah.
He goes, then I get a call. It's a 28-year-old woman. She's naked. It's as funny as can be.
And then keep going.
It's as funny as can be.
Yeah.
And he finishes. He gets a huge applause. We go out to the front of Stand Up New York. There's like a bar in the front.
Yep.
And Carrie Charlotte, without missing a beat, or whoever guy owned it, Carrie something, goes, we got to make Billy Ryan the winner. He put this together. I said, dude, if you make Billy Ryan the winner, those 65 guys in there that know their friend won will burn this place to the ground after they break the mirrors.
Right.
After they break every bottle of liquor.
Right.
He goes, you think they would do that? I go, I know they'll do it.
Absolutely.
I go, they're drunken cops. And you're bamboozling them. Every one of them spent $100 here today, and you're going to make this guy the winner?
Because he put it together?
Because he put it together. I couldn't believe the cheesiness of it. And they made Joe Mike the winner.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's awesome,
good.
man. That's
and do they still do it now? I have no idea.
I thought about this because I think I asked you that sort of question in 2000, the summer of 2020. And, that was a wild time. There was like, defund the police. America just was like, defund. It was crazy. And then now I'm seeing they're like, refund the police. Let's fund the police. So I think people are realizing we need cops. You
100%. I mean, when I saw people saying defund the police or get rid of the police,
I was laughing. I go, are you out of your friggin' mind?
And then we're wondering why all these crime videos.
Zero logic.
You got enough craziness with police out here and in the country.
And especially in the big
Take
cities.
them away, it becomes the purge.
Yeah, it comes a purge.
It becomes a purge.
Dude, they're shooting and killing 16-year-old kids on Melrose in the middle of the day.
Right.
It's very bad.
But we have a problem, and I know we said we weren't going to go down a political rabbit hole.
Go a little bit,
but just a drop. We have a problem in this country that you can just do whatever you want now. There's no penalty. There's no consequence.
How about when you're driving through LA and all of a sudden you see 65 tents in a nice neighborhood where houses cost $1 million each?
Yeah. And the tents are $850,000.
There you go. And every one of those tents is a psycho.
Right.
A psycho that's ready to kill.
Dude, I was at the boxing gym today, and as I go out, so my shirt gets soaking wet, and I was outside in the parking lot, and I'm like, oh, I'll get some rays as I dry off and peel a couple of oranges, and I hear this lady giggling and laughing at me, and I think she's laughing at me, but I think she was just on drugs or something. Some homeless lady. She was, and I thought, oh, she's laughing because I'm so pale, but I'm like, whatever, I'm a comedian, I could take it. And she just looked at me as she walked by, and she's like, and I was like, first I was kind of insecure because I'm like, damn, I am not tan at all. And then I noticed that she just kept walking, laughing, looking at things, giggling, but it wasn't violent.
She wasn't laughing at you?
Yeah, I know, but that part of me was like, is she laughing at me? And I was like...
You know what I saw 2 days ago in downtown LA? And downtown LA is the worst.
Is it bad? Yeah.
And I worked in Coney Island in the 80s and 90s. I worked in the South Bronx. To see... The degenerates, the dismembered, legs missing, and wheelchairs being really pushed backwards, and people sleeping in the street, and all of a sudden amongst them is a female African-American woman about 40 years old, completely naked from head to toe on the streets of LA.
Oh my gosh.
Love it, man.
Completely naked.
Wow. And no one's doing anything about it? No one's trying to help her? There's
nothing. And here I am trying to get my phone and film her in the rearview mirror. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's we're at a very interesting point right now in this country.
And gas is $9 a gallon in Beverly Hills. $9 a gallon.
Unbelievable.
I paid $5.29 today.
Wow. Someone told me that in that movie, I Am Legend. They had because it's like the future or whatever, and like they had gas prices, and it was lower than it is now.
Oh, that's funny.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember filling up I used to drive, and I don't recommend this to anybody out there, motorcycles, because it's definitely, they call them donor cycles. Be careful out there if you're a rider. But my first vehicle was a motorcycle, and I remember filling it up for less than $1. Like filling it up, putting $1, and then the whole tank would be like, you're done. You're
That's
good for the week.
I bought a Mustang convertible when I moved to LA, and it was $12 to fill up.
Yeah, it's an interesting time now. But the thing that really blows my mind this day is how much crime you can actually get away with. It's how much.
They
crime,
say
how much crime you can
$950 and under. It's like a misdemeanor, I believe.
Like John, just so he knows, because I always tell him this. I always say these stories to him. Growing up in Howard Beach, let's just go Howard Beach and a little bit of Queens.
New Park Pizza, the best pizza in New York.
Yeah. Well, I used to go to Howard Beach all the time. My mother and father had
Do you like pineapple on your pizza?
How dare you?
How about you? Do you like pineapple on your pizza?
I'll kick you in the vagina.
You can't do that.
You don't like? Have you tried it?
Not you, right?
No, dude.
No
there's
way.
a certain someone that puts it on.
Oh, really?
Yo,
there's certain things
makes
you
me
can't.
sad.
There's certain things you
Because
can't.
he's in
Makes me
California
sad.
now.
If you're from Queens, New York, or especially
Have you had it?
Long Island pizza was killer too, man.
Yeah.
You guys had some great pizza out there.
Have you ever
I'm
had
a
pizza
Long
with pineapple?
Island boy.
No.
Dude, there's a place you could put cherries on your pizza.
No.
Pineapple and cherries.
Put it this way: 24 years ago, Jerry Leno leaned over to me on the Tonight Show and goes, "Sir, they put pineapple on the pizza here." And I looked at him and I said, "If you put pineapple on a pizza in Bensonhurst, they'll drag you in an alleyway and hit you in the skull with a pipe."
Yeah.
Yeah, I said a pipe.
So I have told him that if they came into a CVS or in Howard Beach or in my neighborhood in Flushing, Queens, they wouldn't just sit there and watch this guy ransack and just steal and
Right.
They take him out there. You'd never see the guy again.
Yeah.
We're in Howard Beach. You never see that person again. I just don't understand how we have gotten
Howard
to this.
Beach, all this stuff means nothing to me and some of the
Howard
viewers. What does that
Beach,
mean?
for those of you-
like The Sopranos or something?
Yes, that's where John
That's
Gotti
where
lived.
John
and-
Gotti lived.
Watch this. My wife Fran was born and raised in Howard Beach, and then moved to Rockaway Beach. That's double tough.
That was a
and my partner Mike Venkis, who was with me the night Tupac became one Pac. He's from Howard Beach.
Yeah, that was Rockaway was another interesting. I used to go to Reese Park there.
Yeah, naked. Remember the Naked Beach?
I used to go to the Naked Beach.
Did you get naked or you just went to watch?
Absolutely, I did.
You did?
Oh, yeah. I was about 16, 17 years old.
And you let your junk hang out? You didn't care?
Absolutely. We were always high. And I didn't.
My dad used to take us to Reese Park.
yeah.
It was a naked beach in Queens.
Remember that bridge?
Just to watch.
That huge,
the Gil Hodges
yeah,
Bridge.
the Gil Hodges Bridge. Yeah,
It has a different name now.
I have. Oh God.
There was two. There was the Cross Bay, and then there was the Gil Hodges.
But that,
you know what Gil Hodges was?
No, I have no idea.
Third base for first or third base for
I
the
thought
Mets.
it was the coach in '69. He wasn't the coach in
But
'69.
he played for the Yankees, I think.
Mets. How
He
dare you?
always played for the Mets, or he
I
coached.
just know him
the
as a Met.
Okay, so but yeah,
Gil Hodges Bridge.
I
Inside
just,
shit.
I couldn't see if my father owned or was a manager of a CVS or a place, or the guys that I grew up with, mostly Italians, that or if they owned a place, a little small bodega or something, and you never see them like that guy.
I know.
Never
funny.
again. Okay, I mean, this is
get the bat.
it was pretty much like Mike Marino says, Vinny.
Yeah.
It was this from where I'm from. That's why when I see these things on Instagram that Michael Rappaport puts up all the time, I just can't imagine how people watch these people. Just like, why do you have a security guard in your store if he's
Security guard's not allowed to touch.
not
him or
allowed to
something.
touch? Can't do anything. Why is he there?
I don't know.
It's ridiculous. So I know we're getting off on a tangent.
that's
blah,
fine.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
But all right. So we covered stand up. College also. You went to New Paltz.
I went to New Paltz.
Yeah.
I went to New Paltz and was expelled right around Christmas.
Okay, I was.
I went in the fall of '82, and I was done by the fall of '82.
There you go. There
I
you
got
go.
random questions for you
Go
guys.
ahead.
Since I've
Go
been
ahead.
shaving my head for 4 or 5 years now, I have no idea how much a haircut costs. How often do you get your haircut?
I get my hair cut every 10 days.
Because it looks really sharp now. Look at this.
Thank you.
Lean into that camera if you guys see. Look at that. That's.
Do you
Look at
really
that.
go every 10
Look at that.
days?
Yeah.
Where do you go?
On Vineland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The barbershop.
Right in around Oxnard. Do you have to knock on the door?
No.
This guy, you got to knock on the door. It's always locked.
Okay.
I think he's touching kids in the back room.
Oh gosh.
And I'm the only one there. Always.
Okay.
You like knock on the door and they let you in. And
Well,
how much?
knock on the door. Watch this. Half the time he lets me in from the inside. The other half he shows up from the outside, like he lives and
Really?
sees me knocking. Then all of a sudden he's behind me.
Right.
I pay. It was 10 for a long time. Now it's 14, and I give him a 20.
Oh wow.
And I go about every 10 days.
And that sounds like a low budget kind of place. You're not running into like a place at the mall or something.
Not at
like
all.
that.
It's always empty. And do you know how often John Gotti got his hair cut?
When did he go?
Once a day.
Wow.
You can't.
So that's why I go about every 10 days.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story about John Gotti. My father knew him pretty well from the track from Aqueduct,
Right.
Because they all that's South Ozone Park, and they all so he knew him enough to eat breakfast with those guys in the
Right.
morning. And my father sold to most of the mob restaurants on Mulberry Street. My father was in the coffee business for 40 years.
Okay.
So he sold to all the mobsters on Mulberry and all over Manhattan and Howard Beach and all that. And do you know Parkside in Corona by Shea Stadium?
No.
That was also an interesting restaurant. And so he sold to them as well. So one night I'm on First Avenue walking. It's freezing winter in Manhattan. I got Chinese food in my hand. And, in New York, when it's freezing like that, you hug the building as
Right.
you walk.
Just stay away from the wind.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Okay. So I'm hugging the building, hugging the building. I got this up and I got this up in a leather jacket, blah, blah, blah. And so I can't see anything peripheral. And I swear as God is my witness, I'm hugging the building. I'm on like 80th. I lived on 83rd. I got 2 more blocks to go. I'm on 80th, getting ready to cross into 81st Street. And John Gotti and I bump into each other, as in Keystone Cops bump.
Right.
Okay. Not like, oh, excuse me, I saw you coming. I say, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. It was nothing. We smacked into each other. He was coming out of a restaurant.
Like you got your peanut butter, or what? You got your chocolate in my peanut butter, your peanut butter in my chocolate.
That kind of thing. Okay. And he came out of the restaurant.
And you recognized him.
Well, he's wearing the $1,000 suit, the slick back, the hair, the way it was. And what would happen was, as he was coming out of the restaurant, he turned this way to tell somebody to lean back and say, and continued walking.
Right.
So he bumped into me, and we bounced off each other, and I turned ready to say, I'm so sorry. I had no idea who it was at that moment.
Right.
And I went, oh, I'm so sorry. And then what does he say to me? He goes, son, my bad, man. I wasn't looking. That's what he said to me. He goes, son, my bad. And then I went, oh, I realized who this was because his 4 henchmen were around the town car around the town car that he's going to go into.
Right.
Okay. And they witnessed this. They saw this. And so that's all I was thinking is, I can tell him who my father is and that my father from the track and blah, 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 da, da, da. But I said, something,
didn't have to.
He's saying my bad. Let's get at it.
When did that "my bad" expression come out? Did he actually say "my bad" or something like that?
He actually
invented it.
He said, he goes, son, my bad. He goes, oh, I'm so sorry, son. That my bad. He must have realized I'm walking with my head turning this way. Okay, and he must have been like, instead of go, what the what's wrong with what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Instead, he realized he's walking straight and with his head turned that way. So he bumped into me. But I'm talking, we did the pinball thing. We did that kind of thing.
Wise guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then when I saw who it was, my heart went like this. And I just got I got scared for a split second. I knew I could use my father's name, and then as soon as he said, my bad, sir, I'm sorry about that. And I went, have a good night. And that was it. But that was the only time I ever met him.
Great story. Now answer this. How often do you get your hair cut?
I would say every about 2 months, every 2.5 months.
Every two and a half months. And how much do you pay?
I give the guy $30 and a $7 tip. $37.
Oh, they charge $30.
Charges $30, and they don't take anything but cash.
Wow. And what's the name of the place?
Gotti's. No. No.
Funny.
It's the one next door to my office.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
Is it a chain? Is it like
what is that one?
I
Fantastic
don't know.
Sam's or
No.
Supercuts or something?
No, it's nothing like that. But they're just great. I just walk right in. It's a barber. It's a barber.
Oh, that's cool.
You're getting older when you start to go to a barber. In other words, the chronology of hairstyling is you go to a place where it's going to be styled.
Yeah.
Then there comes a point in time where you just go, I just want to cut. There's no such thing as,
or you cut it yourself.
Right.
And then you get down to me and you're just like shaving it every 3 days.
Want to hear my John Gotti story?
Go ahead.
Yes,
Very
and
quickly.
We'll wrap
Go
it
ahead.
up
We
on
got to
this.
wrap.
I got sworn into the New York City Transit Police on July 15th, 1986.
What are you, Mary Lou Henna?
July 15th, 1986. We all met at a college. The 308 schmucks that were transit. We met on a Friday at a college in the auditorium in Brooklyn, and we were all told to buy our uniforms and report Monday to the New York City Police Academy with the 2,900 other men. In that little 2-hour day, the first day ever, there's 300 of us with transit. None of us want to be transit, so it's very anticlimactic. It's sad in a weird way. And while we're sitting there, we finally take a break, and a guy walks up to me and says, can I tell you something? I go, yeah. He goes, I just want to warn you. You look exactly like John Gotti Jr., and you might want to be careful. That was it.
Oh, as
just
in John's son.
Just the fact that I looked like his son.
Wow.
That somehow, some way, I could get mistaken for the son. And the fellow rookie cop is warning me that you look exactly like Gotti's son.
Did you ever look it up and be like,
yeah,
oh, wow.
he's a bit of a schmucky looking guy, and he blinks a lot.
Yeah, he has. Yeah,
I look more like John Gotti now.
You look more like John, the original.
Right, than his son. You ever see the son? He's a schmuck.
Yeah, the son. I used to see him all the time at Channel 80s and Uncle Sam's.
Yeah. The Channel 80 was in Island Park.
Yeah.
Dude. Under the bridge.
Absolutely.
On the other side.
And do you
the
know-
Island Park side.
Do you know who I once went home with? Not in that kind of way, as in
Joe Klecko.
Come on back. We're all gonna
Joe
have some.
Namath.
We're gonna have some fun at my place.
Eddie Murphy.
in Hewlett, which is the expensive place? Hewlett Manor.
No, Hewlett Harbor.
Harbor.
There you go.
Okay. Basile.
Who's that?
That was the guy who owned. He was the guy who owned everything at Uncle Sam's.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Channel
him.
80. Yeah. And I said to myself, what am I doing? What am I doing going back to this guy's house and blah, blah. Okay. We wrapping up or?
You know whose house I went to? I don't want to top him.
Go ahead.
The guy that owned the bunny ranch.
Oh,
Hoff.
Dennis Hoff.
yeah,
I was
those
his
guys.
house.
Yeah. I went
Yeah.
to the bunny ranch.
So did I.
I went and I played pool there. We went about 2:30 in the morning.
Pocket pool?
I played legit pool.
No, I did a lot more than that.
My friends were doing it. My friends were taking care of
No
that
names,
aspect
no
of their
names.
life. Yeah.
Were you a gay guy?
No, I just was one of those guys that I got it.
Forget the haircuts. How much did you pay?
No, I was just one of those guys that I didn't have that much of a problem. where-
You didn't need to go there.
Exactly. So I went with them, and I shot pool with the girls. I shot pool with, what happened? Do you remember they come out? They all come out.
Yeah, they line up and they were
line up.
skanks.
They line up.
The
Well, yeah,
caps had caps.
Yeah, you're in the middle of nowhere.
And it's like 16 trailers
Right.
all together with chain,
Right.
barbed wire,
Right.
and Christmas
Right.
lights.
And I'm sitting
It
there
was
going,
very seedy.
it's scary because you don't know what happens. How do I get do we get out of here, or is this a
Yeah.
movie? Is this a horror flick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was there, dude.
Yeah.
I went to Dennis Hoff's house that night.
I remember once, and I know we're wrapping. I remember we went to a different place. Oh wait, is it the Bunny Ranch or the Chicken Ranch? What was it called? It was at the Bunny
Bunny Ranch was
Mustang
Dennis
Ranch.
Hoff.
Mustang Ranch?
No, the
Which is
chicken
the one
and the
in
Mustang
Vegas?
are different.
Okay.
Because I used to see it on
Carson City is the
Okay.
bunny.
Okay. Well, I did that. I know I did that. And but then we went once to a place that was like, yeah, we're open, blah blah, that kind of thing. We called up, and
It's like his haircut place. You ring the bell and they come up behind you. You're like,
I gotta
"Jeez."
tell you, man, this was scary because I think 3 girls came out. When he called everybody, I think they were all his daughters.
No.
Yikes.
Okay,
No.
This was in the back. This was like backwards. This was really, it was,
Yeah.
this was a whole different ballgame. But with
The
that,
girls look like Darren Carter.
Darren Carter.
Hi, guys. You like
Well,
my
I had a
boobs?
great time learning more about you. And
Thank you.
I got to get you guys both back on, man. This is cool. This
Yeah.
hour flew by, and we'll talk more stuff next time. I want to thank you guys for listening, for watching. Make sure you comment below, Pocket Party Podcast. Comment below. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a little comment. It helps that algorithm. And check these guys out on Instagram.
Where you going to
John
be soon?
Diresta
Comment.
and
Tomorrow
Dr.
night,
Dean.
I'm at a brewery. I
This
don't
will
know the
go
name
up.
of
Who
it.
knows when this will go up? So
Yeah.
check out John
Well, good.
Diresta's Instagram.
At John Diresta.
Yep. And
At DRDEAN125. I got to make it complicated. Dr. Dean 125.
all right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Very cool, man.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, then listen to the Pocket Party.